Get your reactions ready. The live portion of the show will begin in just a moment.
Stanton with a blast. Left field. Gone. Judge with a blast. Deep left center. It's gone.
Today is Saturday, July 29th, and it's Game 2 of a 3-game set between the Yankees and the Orioles from Camden Yards. Aaron Judge back in right field tonight. Clark Schmidt on the mound. My recap, your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankees Stadium.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. Now that is more like it. That is more like it. There are more than 0 people watching. I'm not sure why my widget's not working, but hey, hits, baseball. Isn't it so much more fun when we actually play baseball and pick up hits and hit and runs? And, you know, the home runs are nice, but there were a lot of nice things about today's game. Runners in motion, a couple of stupid things on the base paths. But tonight was one of the few nights all season where the Yankees have played a very good game against a very good team. 3 home runs, great outing from the bullpen. Like I said, a couple of stupid base running things, but overall, the Yankees played a very nice ball game. Last night's witching hour recap was one of the shortest in the history of this channel. I was just so fed up that I just wanted to be unconscious as soon as possible. But tonight, I want to soak it in a little bit because this was a big win. It felt like that Yankees team before Judge got hurt. You remember that great road trip they had? They went to Seattle. They won a couple of games. They were looking right on the money. And tonight you saw shades of that. 12 hits for the Yankees tonight. 12 hits. Isn't it so much more fun? So we're about 67 hours until the trade deadline. No major moves for the Yankees yet. Max Scherzer got moved to Texas tonight. Remains to be seen whether or not the Yankees will be buyers or whether they will be sellers, which is why I find it odd that Boone has already said pretty much that he's going to give Judge the day off tomorrow, because I feel like a lot of what the Yankees are going to do is riding on what happens tomorrow. You lose 2 out of 3 in this series, you're in a much worse position than if you win 2 out of 3. So I've been thinking about how I want to cover the trade deadline this year. There was a time when I would make little reaction videos to everything that came out, but I think we got a big enough audience now that we can just kind of gather together once everything's done. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a reporter. I'm a podcaster. I react to stuff. So I'm going to do a live show around 6:30 on Tuesday after the deadline. So about a half an hour before the game, about a half an hour after the deadline. And we'll do about a 30-minute podcast on what moves the Yankees make or don't make, what other teams do, and just kind of talk things over. Around this time of year, I always get a lot of texts and DMs from people who want inside news. And look, I don't break news. I react to it. So that's what we will do. All right, the chat is filling up. 440 in the chat now. Let's talk about tonight's game. Aaron Judge in right field for the first time since his injury. Aaron Boone said that he's probably not going to play him tomorrow, but he made up for it by having an outstanding night tonight. Now, my thought is if you have to give him a day off after you play him in the field, why not DH him today so that he can play the field tomorrow and play this entire series against the Orioles, who he obviously hits very well. But nobody thought that through. Yankees came out swinging in the first inning. Judge hit one to the warning track, just missed a home run.
Oh, there goes gravity.
But then Giancarlo Stanton picked him up.
Home run for Stanton.
This night is a wrecking machine.
14th home run of the season.
Versus the ultimate meatball.
427 feet. He probably has very little trade value because of his contract and his mobility. But you see other teams like the Mets attaching prospects to move a contract like, I feel like it could be done. If the Yankees have any chance of dealing Giancarlo, I know that he hit a home run tonight and we should be celebrating, but I'd be giving the Dodgers a call. The way they're adding people will be like, what can we do? What can we throw in? How much money can we eat? But anyway, top two, Harrison Bader stole second with one out, advanced to third on a bad throw, but then promptly got picked off by Adley Rutschman at third base. Bottom two, Orioles tied it up on a solo home run by Ryan Mountcastle, and then took the lead on an RBI infield single. Another instance where the arm strength of Anthony Volpe came into play. I think he's a good shortstop. I think he's an above-average defender, but his arm is just flat out not a shortstop's arm. We talked about it in spring training. It could be a problem. We've seen it multiple times this week where it's been a problem. I think going forward, if the Yankees do move Gleyber Torres, which they may not, they may move Peraza, but if they move Gleyber Torres, I think you see Volpe eventually, maybe next year, slide over to second, and then Peraza slide in at the shortstop position. Top three, Kyle Higashioka led off the inning with a single, and then two batters later, the captain.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. A Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
20th home run of the season. He missed 2 months, and he still leads the Yankees in home runs. 2-run shot. He actually got fined $500 for hitting a home run with a man on base. You're not allowed to do that on the Yankees. It was not a cheapie, though. 111.6 miles an hour off the bat, 442 feet. He now has 6 20-home run seasons in his first 8 seasons in the big leagues. That is not easy to do. The only 2 times he didn't do it were 2016 when he only played 27 games and 2020 when he only played 28 games during the 60-game COVID season. He had an injury. Yankees executed a very nice hit and run with Bader and Higashioka in the top of the 4th. I wish they would do that more, but the problem is they just don't make enough contacts usually. Maybe that's something that Casey can help with. Situations when you can look to, put guys in motion and move runners, and basically hit to the open part of the field. We'll see, but Bader ended up scoring from third on a sac fly by Gleyber Torres. That is small ball, by the way. You don't have to bunt to play small ball. Moving runners and bringing them in with productive outs, that's baseball. And the Yankees just don't play enough baseball. They've pretty much become a home run reliant team. We saw the home runs tonight. It's effective, but, small ball manufacturing runs can be very effective too if you can do it. Judge picked up his second hit of the game later in the inning. Absolutely smoked everything he's swung at since he's come back. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that he's not swinging too hard because of that foot. He's under control with everything, and he's strong enough that when he barrels it up, it's impossible not to have great exit velo. I thought IKF had some quality at bats tonight, drew a couple of walks on close pitches, and obviously a big 3-run bases loaded double. Also worth noting that he continues to play left field, but the Yankees have Everson Pereira ready to go right now in AAA. He hit another home run tonight. He's got 5 now, sitting over 300 on the season. I will pull up Everson Pereira's numbers, and we'll take a look at it when we get to that portion of the show. But he is having just a monster season. 308, 15 home runs, 51 RBIs in 237 minor league at-bats, and he's only 22 years old. He's got a great swing, too. Ton of bat speed. So don't be shocked if IKF ends up as being one of the guys the Yankees trade away. He could be a very valuable piece for a playoff contender that needs, kind of a Swiss Army knife kind of guy that can play a little bit of third base, a little bit of shortstop, a little bit of left field, catch in an emergency, pitch. He's thrown like 3 or 4 innings this year, so IKF can be a very valuable guy. He's going to be a free agent. So I would not be surprised if the Yankees move him at the deadline. Orioles got another run in the bottom of the 5th off of Clark Schmidt, but he picked a big strikeout up to get out of the jam. Good hard curveball down and in. Kyle Higashioka immediately got the run back.
There it goes. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
Lord Raiden says that's the most runs they've scored since Judge was last here. No coincidence. Wow. Judge followed up with his third hit of the game. Stanton followed up with his second. IKF, that was when he picked up his big 3-run double. Look, they got 12 hits tonight. You hit like that, it's a lot more fun. It's fun to watch. I'm sure it's more fun to play and be involved in the game. You get more at-bats. You get into a better rhythm. Let's just hope that they go on one of those August streaks like we've seen the Yankees have in the past, where they go 22-6 or something like that. I don't know how many games they play. I doubt it, because mostly this offense and this team is poorly constructed. But if they make the right moves at the deadline, you get Judge red hot. Maybe you get one or two other guys red hot. Maybe you can do some damage and get yourself back into a playoff position. But again, don't bet your house on this Yankees team doing much in the playoffs. We'll see. Ian Hamilton came in for the 6th inning. Clark Schmidt went 5 innings, 3 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Look, it wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. Hamilton was filthy, though. He threw 2 scoreless innings, 3 strikeouts. He's got a 1.60 ERA on the season. He was sweating more than anybody since Aroldis Chapman. He was sweating probably an unhealthy amount. Volpe got his 19th steal of the year in the 7th, but then got thrown out trying to advance to third on a ball, hit right at him. The Yankees have repeatedly made that mistake. Almost everybody on the team has been thrown out at third base this year. And considering how few base runners have actually gotten to second base to begin with, that is a problem. Fix it.
Baba Booey.
Yankees hang on to win 5-3.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
I've seen a lot of different votes for the belt here.
You're a winner.
IKF got some votes. He had a good night. Higgy had a good night. But my man, bringing the mojo back, Mr. Aaron Judge. Val in NY says, great job by the pen, and I have to agree. The pen was terrific tonight. That is a good Orioles offense, and they just went right through them. Let's take a look at the box score, shall we? So Torres took the collar tonight, 0 for 4. Judge went 3 for 5, scored a couple of runs, knocked in a couple of runs. He's hitting .298, OPS 1.099. Allen came into play late in the game in left field. Stanton went 2 for 5. He's over the 200 mark now at 201. Rizzo 1 for 3 with a run. LeMahieu 1 for 4. IKF 1 for 3 with a couple of walks. Big bases clearing double, hitting .257. I saw a bunch of people in the chat saying, oh, there's no way they'll trade IKF. Well, I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. I mean, he makes $6 million. Are you really going to pay $8-9 million for IKF? I don't know. It would make sense if they want to call up Pereira. You can slot DJ back into that utility role and go with Peraza at third base. There's a lot of things the Yankees could do. Junior Corona says he'd rather trade Glaber than IKF. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. Bader 1 for 5 today. Volpe 0 for 4. Now, this is going to sound like BS because the Yankees put this BS out there all the time. They say a guy had great at-bats. I believe he's turning the corner. And usually it's not true. Usually it's Donaldson or Hicks or Gallo. But I really do feel like Anthony Volpe is having better swings. He hit the ball hard a number of times. Right back at the pitcher, he hit one hard to right center that kind of hung up there. Now, baseball isn't always fair. Somebody will tell you, oh, it evens out because you get enough bloops. But not really in the age of shifts. And even with the overshift gone, they kind of know where you're going to spray the ball, so you can shade guys in certain spots and pretty much have a good idea where they're going to hit it. So it's tougher to sneak more hits in there, but he's not being overpowered as much. I love the closed stance. He's not bailing and wailing as much. I think he's going to pick it up in the second half. I still think he's going to hit 230 by the time it's all over, and I still think he's going to be a good player overall. Higashioka got some serious consideration for the belt tonight. 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, and the big home run. And again, the bullpen, 4 scoreless innings in relief of Clark Schmidt. Robert Herrick says, Judge has the top OPS in the American League. Does he qualify? I don't know if he qualifies at this point. Tim W. says, the Yankees' number this year is 4. When they score 4 or more runs, they are 45-12. When they score 3 or less, they are 10-37. That is an outstanding stat. Aaron L. says, Boston got walked off by San Francisco in one pitch, too. Yeah, I mean, we got walked off last night, so we can't talk too much crap about that. Man, this home run by Judge was smoked. Look where this landed. It was one hop off of the batter's eye. I mean, that's a typical vintage Aaron Judge home run. Clobbered, high fastball, gets to it. And this one, the line drive to left field was smoked. Can't throw Judge right down the middle of the plate. And then Higashioka got that, looked like a slider, maybe a cutter, stayed out over the middle of the plate. And that was no cheapie either. Not a lot of guys clear that left field wall in Baltimore anymore. So, Greg Petridis says, Volpe has hit into a lot of bad luck.
I hardly agree.
I agree 100% with that. I think that they will fall. You know, he's not striking out as much as he was earlier this year. He's at least having competitive at-bats. He's hitting the ball to right field more. He's not going to be a huge power guy. He's probably not going to steal 80 bags, but he could be a solid player, especially if they put him at second base. I think he would be an elite second baseman. Wayne J. says, Stanton's homer was quite a shot. Stanton hit the piss out of that baseball. I didn't catch the exit velocity, but it had to be like 110, 115. And the left field wall in Baltimore is no trouble for Giancarlo Stanton either. He has reached it a number of times. James Bryn says, we should talk about the Mets fire sale. It is interesting that they dealt Max Scherzer. They got Ronald Acuna's cousin in return. He's a 20 or 21-year-old shortstop. Ronald Acuna, by the way, stole his 50th base tonight. He has 20-50 already with 2 months to go. He might get to like 30-70, 40-80. Isn't that ridiculous? Keith Aldridge says, did you notice that DJ has been having much better swings? I do think DJ has been having better swings. Didn't get a lot of luck tonight. He has hit the ball harder. That home run against Kansas City, to me, felt like a turning point where he went opposite field to right field. He let that ball travel and just drove it the other way. He hadn't been doing that. He is hitting the ball in the barrel more. I'm still not 100% convinced he's healthy. You know, he had that toe issue last year. You can't tell me you've played 100 games and it's not barking at least a little bit. But look, if we can get him hitting, we got a shot. Yanni Molo says, if we're active, who do we get at left field? Your question is good. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Bellinger. I think he'd be a great fit, but I'm not entirely certain the Cubs are going to sell. They probably signed him so that if he did get off to a good start, they could trade him. But they're in contention right now. They've got a very good run differential. They've got a chance to get into the playoffs. And if you get into the playoffs, I mean, anything can happen, especially if you've got a proven playoff performer like Bellinger. Lou Rom says, let's retool now for 2024. Can't take mediocre anymore. Well, look, let's enjoy the win tonight at least. Devin Nolan says, the front office needs to do their part and show they support this team ahead of the deadline. We're running out of time here. We got Sunday, Monday, and then until 6 p.m. on Tuesday for Brian Cashman to pull the trigger. I was shocked he didn't make a move this week. He generally makes his moves a little bit early. Now, sometimes he'll pull a last-minute deal. I think Jordan Montgomery was one of the last moves made last year. It was right at the deadline. And apparently they were working on a Gleyber Torres to the Marlins deal for Pablo Lopez. It fell through. So the willingness to trade Gleyber last year tells me they probably would have a willingness to do it this year, even though he's been one of your better hitters. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Caden Mills says Yelich in Yankee Stadium. Let's take a look at an internal option. Now, I know he's right-handed, but we're going to take a look at what Everson Pereira is doing this year. 308, 15 home runs, 51 RBIs in 237 at-bats. He's been on fire, 940 OPS. Now, if you break down his career, he's been mostly very good. Now, when he first broke in as a kid, he hit 171, but 2021, he hit 303 with 20 home runs in 188 at-bats across 3 levels, rookie ball, single A, and A+. Look at that. Look at those numbers at Tampa, 361 in 19 games. So he moved fast. Last year, he was injured for part of the year, but still, hits for a much better average than anybody in the Yankees system, pretty much. 274 and 283, and he got better as he went along. Overall, the numbers, 14 home runs, 56 RBIs, 277 average, 350 on base percentage, 819 OPS. And now this year, started off at Double-A, played 46 games, hit 291 with 10 home runs. Now he's already got half as many home runs in just 17 games as opposed to 46 in Double-A. Been in Triple-A for less than 3 weeks. He's got 5 home runs. He's got 20 ribbies. He's hitting 347. Play the hot hand. I realize that IKF had a good night tonight, but I would absolutely love to see Everson Pereira get the call. And that's why, it makes sense to deal IKF. He's not playing the infield very much. We'll see. I don't know if the Yankees are going to do it, but I would love to see Pereira get a shot. Get a few more comments here.
Game over, man. Game
Oh, by the
over.
way, this episode brought to you by Game Time. Game Time, the #1 app for last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
You gotta go.
You can view your seats. You can go to any kind of event, not just sports. Basketball, football, hockey, all that stuff. But then you also got theater, you got comedy, you got music. And if you use the code NYY Recaps, you will get $20 off of your first purchase. Download the Game Time or the Game Day app or Game Time app today. All right. Caden says, maybe we'll hold Jason Dominguez in the minors until he is 27. And then Greg says, yeah, he is striking out a lot. So if you look at the strikeout numbers, Everson Pereira has struck out 76 times in 237 at-bats. So he does strike out a bit. But when he makes contact, he crushes it. As they say in Rocky IV, everything he hits, he destroys. One more look at Aaron Judge's night. The home run to center field, absolutely clobbered over the Royal Farm sign. And then the hard line drive single to left field later in the game. Take a look at that. This was just a fat pitch right down the middle. 95 and straight. All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow. Yankees win this one and even the series. Good night.
Ball game over.
Most impressive.